See if I can get everything back on really quick. This is your girl Essie. I'm having some technical difficulties. Oh, there we are. There we are. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to live. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. It's hump day. It's the time of the week when we are getting ourselves together, trying to get a handle on what we've already been through and what we have to go through. There is so much that we have to prepare for the rest of the week in order to make it successful. How is your week going? How are things going for you if you are a caregiver? Look, if you're a parent, and your child is off from school and you are also a caregiver because you're a caregiver to him or her or them, let's be real. What are you doing in order to enhance their summer and train them as well to be caregivers? Good morning. Happy Wednesday, everyone who pops on, who looks at this later. Good morning, good morning, good morning. You know, we carry a heavy load. Sometimes we put all of that load solely on our shoulders. Sometimes we are the ones that, if we don't do it, it's not going to get done. And so that's one of the things that could actually be a pitfall as far as caregiving. Do you think that the responsibility should be yours and yours alone? And how do you deal with that? Are any of you dealing with that right now? What is the cause of it? Do you feel like you have to be the one that's going to save everyone or help everyone as far as caregiving? Good morning, good morning, good morning, Nikolai. Good morning to everyone that hops on, whether you see this program now or if you see this live later. I'll be on here for about a half an hour because we're going to sit and talk about some of the things that we do that kind of really may hinder us from effectively caregiving. One of the ones is not really delegating responsibility. So if there are opportunities for you to share the load, how do you do that if you're a caregiver? How do you actually spread that around so that all of that is not resting on your shoulders? So let's kind of recap what's going on. Thank you so much, Kamal. Thank you. Yeah, I really, really am sincere and passionate about caregiving and how it affects other people. But also, I believe that we should train others and help delegate the responsibility. Happy Wednesday to everyone that's on. It's your girl, Essie. Look, I'm pushing through this hump day. The weather is on and off, on and off. We just had powerful thunderstorms go through here. I thought we were going to lose power. So, if something happens, hi Rahul, how are you? Good morning. Happy Wednesday. If something happens and we lose power, it's not my fault. Okay. I had every intention of doing this live today. But one of the things that I've realized, especially with my kids being home for the summer, is that I have to delegate some of this responsibility, right? I work full time, and many of you do also. Many of you are battling the problems or the burden really of carrying so much responsibility. But caregiving to someone you love should not ever be a burden, right? Caregiving to someone that you love, or if you've chosen this as a profession, it's not something that's easy, but it's something that you can do and do effectively. But we got to share, guys. We can't take on all of this on our own. We have to learn how to ask for help. And one of the things that I'm doing is, let me see, Rahul. I don't understand what you said. Looking so hot. I see. Thank you for the compliments. I really appreciate it. Those of you who have been on my live I come on twice a week. We're going to talk about caregiving. We're going to talk about, hello, good morning, everyone. We're going to talk about delegating that responsibility to try to help. Now, if you are a caregiver, and if you're a caregiver to a parent, a family friend, a relative that's older, are you able to delegate that responsibility? Are you able to ask for that assistance? One of the things that I'm doing, okay, wait a minute. See, this is how we go back and forth. And guys, just pause for a moment. I'm sorry. I'm just going to put some people in time out because, we're here to talk about something that's really, really important that impacts a lot of us, right? We're here to talk about caregiving, delegating that responsibility, and ask for help. And how many of you who are caregivers yourself, whether it's to a parent, whether it's to children, whether it's to people, that you've chosen to do this for as a profession, that's what we're here to discuss. So we're going to keep on rolling through this Wednesday morning. Those of you join me on my live, we talk about things that are pertinent to encourage one another to get it through the week. We are in Wednesday. We are tired. We are dragging, but we don't have to carry this load on our own. So if you are a caregiver, as I was saying before, and you have children, are you able to utilize their services in order to help you to give care? during the summer months that they are off. You'd be amazed how many children get excited when you ask them just to do something simplistic. You know, take this to this person and they get excited, right? Especially when they're young and they have so much energy and they want to help out. They'll ask you, is there anything I can do? Is there anything you need? Is there anything? Can I help? Can I help? Can I help? As parents, how often do we hear that? As parents, how often are our young ones wanting to learn how to be more of an impact within the family? The moment that they're able, why don't we utilize that energy? Put it to good use. I'm not saying child labor. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying if you have young people who are old enough who can cognitively understand the role that they play in the dynamics of the family and that this person needs care and this person needs help, then why aren't you utilizing that in order to help you to be able to grow and help you be able to train them and to help them to appreciate that caregiving to someone that they love, someone that's in the family and that's part of the family dynamic is so important. So my youngest is 8 years old and he's home from school for the summer. And so whenever he asks, Mom, is there something I can do? Does grandma need help? Mom, I can do it. If I know that he's capable of handling that responsibility, you better believe I'm going to help him. I'm going to let him do it. Now, I'm going to monitor him to make sure that he can do it, but I'm also going to appreciate and let him know how much I thank him offering. I thank him consistently trying to help because that's what it means to train him to be a caregiver. So here's some of the benefits, and I'm dropping a video about this. It should actually drop now while we're on this live about some of the benefits of helping our young people to learn how to be caregivers. It doesn't mean that you're going to have your whole summer monopolized with giving care. I truly believe that the summer should be enjoyable for our young people. They should be able to get out. They should be able to have fun. It's their summer break. They've been in school all year, and technically, as a parent, so have we. And so we want to be able to help them learn responsibility, learn how to assist in the family if they're not working, but also learn how important it is to be a caregiver and provide those services. So some of the things that it helps to do, I'm looking for my notes here. You'll see this on the video too later, guys. That drops. It's a two-parter, and they're only about 2 minutes long. So when it drops, you'll see it on my YouTube channel. One, when we train our children, it builds empathy and compassion. They're able to see the dynamics of your relationship with your parent or the person that you're providing care for, and they're able to understand, put themselves in that person's shoes, right? Put their pain in their heart. That's what it means to be empathetic. When our children see how dedicated and serious you are as a parent, as a caregiver, if that's what you've chosen as a profession, they themselves are also moved by that. And so that's one of the things that really, really, let me just put some more people in time out. I forgot that I have to continually scroll up to see everybody's comments. Hi to everybody. Hi, everybody. Good morning. And just so you know, Bren, yes, I am a 100% Black woman. Okay. Both of my parents are Black. I'm 100% Black. And so that answers your question. And now we're going to move back on to training children, right? And so when my young one asks for help, I know when he sees that his grandmother is in pain. Thank you so much, Johnny. Thank you so much for the compliments. Happy Wednesday to everybody jumping on. When he sees that his grandmother is in pain, when he sees that she needs help, hey, hi, Black, how are you? When he sees that, she is really combating the pain and ailments, and he's able to provide caregiving services, even if it's bringing something to her from another side of the room, two things happen. One, he's showing compassion and kindness. Two, he's spending time with his grandmother. And three, well, maybe more than two things happen, right? He's also seeing the impact that it has on her, which makes him happy. If you see the look on your children's face when they're able to provide assistance, it could be something really minor and small, but they get so excited. And why would you take that away from your children? Why would you take that experience? Good morning, everyone. Why would you take that away from your children, right? You want them to be able to experience what it means to provide care, to help them learn that compassion and empathy. They get a different perspective. Here's a grandma or pop pop, right? Here's an aunt or an uncle or a friend of the family that more than likely had a big role in their life, and here they're sick and they're not feeling well. And you, as a young person, when you are giving a small role, age appropriate role in caregiving, you're able to offer assistance. And even though you cannot pay that person back for all that they've done for you definitely, definitely play a role in their care. And that joy that you get, would be wonderful. If I had the chance to relive a memory, what would it be? Uh, that's kind of a painful question, Johnny, but I'll share it with you because it falls in line with caregiving. So, if you've watched some of my videos, you'll know that my dad suddenly passed away about 3 years ago. And there was a moment a week before he died. It was nothing, I can't do anything about his health, right? And we didn't know that he was that sick. Well, a week before he died, I came over and he was sitting on the sofa and he asked me some questions, and I thought they were kind of off kilter, like, what are you asking me that for? Which was really interesting. And so, if I had a chance to relive a memory, and I was in a hurry to get in and get out to get something done, and I had appointments, I would have canceled all of those appointments, Johnny, to spend those last few moments with my dad. So, if I had to relive a memory, I'd have sat on that couch with him until he expired, just to spend time with him. So, yeah, it's a painful experience, but I was trying to give my parents care at that point, trying to help them with their health, trying to help them with things around the house. I would love to come over and, help them if I could. I would offer assistance. I wasn't in their home. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for the compliments. I wasn't in their home at that time, but if I had to relive a memory, it would be to spend every waking moment with him that week before he died. It was so suddenly, it took everybody by surprise. And so I was a caregiver kind of out of the home, and now I'm a caregiver in the home. Thank you so much. I appreciate your compliments, but I never feel like I do enough, right? And so that's why I've learned as I'm getting older that sometimes I need to be able to delegate that responsibility. Sometimes when we don't pay attention to the warning signs, we go on about our daily activities, but we're not paying attention to a person who clearly needs some care and some attention. And so now I try to buy out time not to make that same mistake with my mom. So I try to buy out time. Hello, how are you? Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I try to buy out time to spend time with her to make sure that if she's in pain or she just needs to conversate, I'm here. You live and you learn by your life experiences, right? And unfortunately, some experiences we can only get from living it. And so when I had that experience, I made a commitment to myself that if my mom or someone that, is close to me really needed care, I would not hesitate and I would buy out time in order to spend with them. Johnny, you got a lot of questions today. So what moment in my life shaped me the most? There are many. There are many. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I am a Niger wife, and so meeting my now husband shaped a lot of my life as it is now. And I'm telling you, when you find out what real love is, it can mold and shape you into a whole nother person. And so that's a whole nother experience for a whole nother topic. Corey B, that's how it used to be when parents and grandparents get old, the family takes care of them. Not a nursing home. Thank you, Corey. As long as I'm not able, as long as my mom doesn't need some kind of special medical care, these are her surroundings. This is her home. This is the home she had with her. Thank you, Johnny. This is the home that she had with her husband. I want to keep her in her surroundings. I want to keep her in her home. And so even though it's going to be very, very hard, thank you, Debbie Ann, even though it's going to be very, very hard, thank you, Aiden, I really appreciate it. Even though it's going to be very hard to do that, it's very taxing, it can be very tiring, it's rewarding. And so my goal is to never have her in nursing home care. Not that it can't benefit her, but because medically she doesn't need it, she needs to be around family and friends and in her surroundings where she's comfortable. And I'm all for that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I am trying. I'm trying. But I've also learned that I can't shoulder this responsibility by my own. on my own. I can't. And I have 5 young people, 3 who are grown, who are able to offer and render assistance because it's that important. Thank you, Johnny. I really appreciate it. And so when I have the opportunity, that I can work with her and spend time with her, that's what I'm going to do. What makes me emotional is losing my dad. You asked, and that's the truth. If anything, that's always going to make me emotional. Now, let's get back to why it's important to train your children in order to get them to have the care that they need to provide those services when it's time, because they definitely help. They definitely play a role. If you've been watching my channel, you'll know that my oldest daughter just recently got married. It has been phenomenal. My son-in-law is absolutely off the hook. He just jumped right in. Right? He jumped right into our family dynamics. He sits there. It takes a special person to want to be able to jump into this. Thank you so much. I try. I'm still working on it, Johnny. And so thank you guys once again. If I didn't say good morning, good morning to everyone. And so it really is finding someone who's willing to jump into that family dynamic. And even though my husband isn't here yet, he spends so much time communicating with my mom, making sure that she's okay, making sure that I'm okay. Right? I got to be grounded and make sure that I'm fine while we continue to provide care within the home. But when I look at my children, it also helps them to learn different responsibilities. Caregiving is unique because it helps them train for some qualities and traits that they're going to need later on in life. What child doesn't need to know how to follow through with duties? They get chores, they get responsibilities at age appropriate now, and then they're able to use that in the work world. The one thing I don't believe, Johnny, you say I'm a good mother. Well, if you ask my kids, the one thing I don't do lazy. I don't do lazy. I don't. If I see you sitting around, it's summertime and I understand I'll let you sleep in a little bit later, but there's always work to be done. Something that we can help with as children in the family, something that you can assist with. And so thank you so much. You're a shout out. P2 Closenin. I'm sorry. I don't know how to pronounce your name correctly, but that's your shout out, okay? And so, one of the things that helps my children and have helped the older ones to learn is to follow through with their responsibilities and their duties. And so, when they go to work, the ones that work, my 3 oldest work, they have jobs, full-time jobs, part-time jobs, depending on what they're doing. But they're phenomenal workers. I've heard praise from their bosses when I met them, right? But a lot of that starts off at home. Emotionally challenging is not always having that energy to do everything that needs to be done. And so that could weigh on you, right? That could weigh on you as a caregiver. But you got to realize you got to let things go. You got to let things just, move, and you can't direct everything. You have to ask for help. I am good, Sanjeet. I am very well this morning. William, I don't understand your comment. And if you're being negative, you don't have to stay on the live. So just remember that. We are being positive. We're talking about caregiving. We're talking about training children and training them to be caregivers. Another thing that it helps them to do is be reliable. So following through with your duties and your responsibilities is so important. When you start working and your job gives you an assignment, your boss is not going to follow up with you every day going, did you do it? Did you finish? Did you finish? He's going to expect for you, if there are project completion dates, to meet those project completion dates and to move forward. That's what your boss is going to expect. He's not going to expect to have to follow behind you and micromanage. At least I hope that's not the kind of boss that you have. And so having children provide those responsibilities. My youngest daughter, while she's home, your last one goes off. All 3 of them are in college. Good for you, born legendary. Good for you. I know it's hard being an empty nester. I understand. It's kind of harder when your kids are older, to me now in this process, than what it was, when they were younger. And so what I do is really help them to understand you have to be responsible in whatever task you're performing, right? That's so necessary. Treating or teaching them to follow through on those assignments. If they want to offer care, guess what? I'm going to show you how to offer care, and you're going to have responsibilities. So my youngest daughter is a high schooler. She's home. She's too young to work this summer, but I did tell her this your last summer. But she was looking for a job. I'm not going to lie. My youngest was looking for a job because she was like, Ma, I'm ready. I'm ready to look for a job. But because she's a little too young here in the States in order to look for a job, she's helping out at home. So she has the morning breakfast run with my mom. And so morning care is her responsibility. When I actually sit back and relax, Johnny, just to answer your question, I take time out. I go travel, right? And when I travel, I delegate responsibility. Good morning, Shantae. How are you? I don't send my children to camps because you know what? My children are running 9 months of the year, Brandon. And I'm going to tell you, I love my children. I need them with me. I value the time that I have to teach and train my children one on one. Now, that may not be something that other parents do, but in my home, every summer that my kids, when before they're eligible to work, they spend time with me because I am their parent and I train them. So I don't do the summer camps because they pick up so many negative influences from other young people who are not being trained. When they're home with me, it's time for them to learn some things and for us to spend quality time together. So I differ a little bit. We're going to leave that on the side. Thank you so much. So I go on vacation. I'm going to go visit my husband. I'm going to be honest with you, spend some time with him until he gets here. I'm looking forward to it. When I see my hubby, let me tell you something. I don't have to worry about nothing. I've made sure that the home here is taken care of, and I'm going home to visit him as well. So I do take vacations. I do spend time with people that I love. I spend time with, my friends. We go out. My friend took me to a vineyard. That's how I take care of my mental health. I go get my toes done because I'm giving my nails a break. I go get my toes done, and I spend quality time with my mom and family and good friends and people who know that I need a break. That's how I protect my mental health. And then I do little things that are going to take time for me. Okay. I'm going to I love to crochet. I do crafts, right? And so that's what's going to help me. Now, when I talk about children and them being reliable, they're going to have to be reliable when they start working. So caregiving, if you train your children, will help them to do that too. It'll help them not only learn how to fulfill their commitments and their responsibilities, but also how to be reliable. Okay, and so we want to make sure that we are teaching our children as caregivers how to offer that. Also, there are life experiences. I think one of the most traumatic things for my children that happened, getting into losing my dad, was just that, losing my dad. My parents have always been good morning, good morning, good morning. The night that we got that phone call that something was wrong, and my mom, it was her, she was hysterical. My dad was not responding, and we had to leave our home. I think we got to this house in we took a 20-minute ride and made it two. Now, I may have broke some speed laws, but I knew that that wasn't normal for him, right? And so having that life experience with my children, I don't think up until that point they had really lost someone who was that close to them. We've lost family friends, right? They've been sick for a period of time, and we saw how that impacted their families. But hitting home with us personally, I think my children, they were old enough to understand at that point because my parents have always been second parents to my children, right? We've always played off of one another, and they have been grandparents who have been integrated in my children's life. And so a lot of times, even when we were living in another state, my parents would interact with my children, right? They would call and talk to them. They would FaceTime them and spend time with them. They would send them things, and then we would come to visit. So one of the things that being a caregiver and having my children also assist with that, it has taught them how to be prepared for life experiences. We weren't prepared for him. However, we did prepare ourselves and see how that impacted my mother. It made them more compassionate. Rihanna is a good looking woman, isn't she? She is. And so shout out to her. And so what happens is when she learned, when we saw what happened with my father, it taught my kids to be more compassionate to what my mother was going through. We watched her. Oh, Crochet Queen. Last Tuesday night, my husband's aunt passed away. You guys put some encouraging comments in the chat for Crochet Queen and help her to kind of go through what she's maneuvering because it's not easy. And so, Yeah, well, I'm caring for my mom, Johnny. That's the person that's close to me, right? That's the one that I'm talking about. I'm giving care. And then in my first marriage, I'll be honest with you guys, my husband, shortly after, my ex husband, shortly after we got married, we found out that he had heart problems and he was an open heart patient. Now, that was different because I became his caregiver for a number of years. And so the thing about that is, caregiving can happen at different stages in your life. Caregiving can be provided, and I'm talking about older people, but it can happen also to your peer. It could happen to your spouse. It could happen if you're a parent, you're a caregiver. It could happen to a family friend. It doesn't all have to be targeted toward someone who's older. And so my ex-husband at the time, I became his caregiver for many, many years, right? And so we had to work through that. It was challenging taking care of, a person who actually is older, someone who's your contemporary, someone you're married to, is different than taking care of someone who's older, who's immobile. So it takes some time. It hurts. It's hard either way. But my kids learned some caregiving techniques from that. And they also learned how to be compassionate and to deal with real life consequences. Hello, good morning to everyone. Hello, hello, happy Wednesday. It's hump day. We getting through it. I got less than 5 minutes. There's a video dropping today about training our children and how important it is on my YouTube channel, how important it is to train and engage our children in caregiving. It's a lot of us out there that are caregivers, but we really don't talk about it. We really don't. It's just something that we just glide right on into. And sometimes we don't know the first process. We don't know what to do, but it's something that we all have to take care of. It's something that we all have to do. You are so sweet, Heartthrob. Thing is, I know I'm probably old enough to be Rihanna's mother. Let's be real. Maybe not her mother, maybe her older sister. But thank you so much. And so what we do is, I don't know, Sponge Man, and I'm looking at these comments, guys, and because I'm engaging with you guys today, because you guys are really, really hilarious in some aspects. This one, who live in a pineapple under the sea? My son was watching SpongeBob yesterday, and it's funny because my youngest, I think my oldest is when SpongeBob came out. So this channel is about providing care services, caregiving services. That's what I do. That's what I encourage other people to do, and that's what the support system we need. That's why this channel was developed, or why it has developed into caregiving services, because all of us are caregivers, whether you're a parent, whether you're taking care of an elderly parent, or whether you are taking care of a spouse or friend, or you've chosen it as a career profession, whether you do it in your home, whether you do it outside of the home, we all need to be aware that there are people who need care. And so that's what we talk about. Another thing that I love about providing and having my children, delegating certain responsibilities to her, right? Delegating responsibilities to my children to help with their grandmother makes their bond tighter. I'm always amazed when my children, I'll be looking for them, maybe I'll call them, and they'll tell me that they're sitting with their grandmother. And I hear all this laughing. Thank you so much, Heartthrob. Thank you guys for joining in. I hear all this laughing in her room. I hear my mom laughing. I hear, my kids laughing. I hear stories being told. I see that bond, that family bond, really strengthening. And Crochet Queen, your husband had cancer last year. I am so sorry to hear that. I know you're giving him care. And listen, caregiving may not be for an extended amount of time. It could be just for like 5 minutes. 5 months. It could be for a limited time. That was my whole point. You don't know how long it's going to last, but the fact that you offered that to him and were there for him, I'm sure that he appreciated it. And it made your bond tighter as a couple, right? You get rewarded in so many blessings when you do have so many experiences with people and you're able to offer that care, especially to those that you love. Okay, especially for those that you love. And so, one thing that I love is to hear that laughing, to hear that camaraderie, to see my kids. There are times if I'm busy, I know my kids will go talk to my mother if they have a problem, because grandma, she's there. Her mind is awesome. Her words of wisdom, the stories and how they apply to you. Thank you so much, Heartthrob. Those things are invaluable. So even though she may be going through something, even though she may be in pain, her words of wisdom, you got to get that from your people who are older, who walk the path where you're going, right? And so what you have to do is really, really train your children to see why that's necessary. I never want my kids to come in this home and they're not like that. You speak to me, go talk to your grandmother. See how her day's going. Share your day with her. Tell her what's going on in your life, so that that interchange of encouragement will still be there. And so I don't know. Hold on for just 1 minute as we go through the end of this session or this live. Thank you guys so much for joining and helping just to listen. And hopefully, you've got some interchange of encouragement, just like I did this morning, and some laughs. Let's be real. You guys are so complimentary and so nice. And so, one of the things, just to say this, all I'm going to say, train your children if you have them in order to help with the caregiving services. You are not alone in this. This is not just solely your responsibility. If you have family and friends, don't forget to delegate those assignments. You can't do it all on your own. You can't. You will wear yourself out. You will be so tired and so exhausted at the end of this that you won't find the joy and the reward and taking care of someone. It's truly a blessing. It's truly something that you don't see all the time, but it's something that needs to be done. So you caregivers, this Wednesday, you're dealing with it. It's hump day here, right? We are really, really tired. We're really exhausted. However, thank you guys. Johnny, thank you for liking the screen. Thank you guys for tuning in. Look, it's hard, but you are not in it by yourself. Once again, because here's my shameless plug. Because a lot of people are jumping to caregiving. And like I said in one of my videos before, my lives, I can't remember, I started this suddenly. I was helping out with them before my dad's death, and then I jumped into it when my dad passed away. There were so many things that I had to take care of. I had no idea where to go. Make sure you go to my Etsy store and you get yourself a copy of the Caregiver's Guide. This is what's going to help you if you're just starting caregiving, getting started. This is my shameless plug. There are 3 areas you want to start with. Okay, you want to start with finances, right? Get those finances in order, because I'm not saying dig in their big piggy bank, but find out what's going on with wills, find out what's going on, if they have advanced directives and things like that. Get the finances and legal issues taken care of. Also, make sure that you're getting their doctor's notices and find out what care they're getting and their medications. So go to the my Etsy store. I'm going to do a video and pop it on my channel so you guys have access. It is a downloadable document so that you're able to have it, check it off, see what you need to cover in order to start providing care to someone who you love. Thank you guys so much. Who says your dad pushed you to go in that direction? No, I'm going to tell you what I do. And this is just the final comment before I go, Crochet Queen. Love. Everything that I do for my parents is motivated by love. If you knew the type of parents that I had, you'd understand why. I try to be the mom that my parents were to me, because they were phenomenal, and they still are phenomenal. Okay? So my dad didn't push me. When I see the need, everything I do for people in general is motivated by love. Okay? You're going to make me emotional before I log off, because people who know my parents knew what kind of man my dad was. My dad was an alpha male, and my dad took care of people. And my mom, she was his complement, and she's still a wonderful woman. So I will see you guys live next Monday. I'm going to get off before stuff start running, right? And plus I work full time, so your girl got to go to work. Have a wonderful day. It was nice to meet everyone. Thanks for jumping on. This is your girl, Essie. Remember to subscribe. Remember to repost if you can. I don't know. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of your week and your weekend. Get some time to relax, caregivers. I'm out.